Hello everyone. How goes it? Welcome back to Recruitment in the Spotlight. Today we're here with Glendale Fire Department. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, good morning and welcome. So before we jump into the interview, I just want you to know a few things. My name is Sauna Pakeman, she, her pronouns. I get to be your host today. I do recruitment for Cal-JAC, and with that, we will jump right in. So let's start out with some introductions. Who am I here with today?
Andy Galvan, Glendale Firefighter Paramedic for the past 9 years. Prior to that, I also worked as an ambulance operator with the organization. Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Joe Donnelly. I'm a captain with the Glendale Fire Department. Been there for 21 years.
Hello.
Shane Baker, fire engineer, and I've been with the city of Glendale for 9 years.
All right, 9 years, 9 years.
Yeah, got hired together. Yeah, got hired together.
There we go, there we go. All right, so for those of you watching at home, we do want you to know that at any point throughout the episode, please go ahead and put your questions in the chat. We will do our very best to take as many questions live as we can. So with that, let's get into some background information. All right, so how did each of you get into the fire service?
I grew up in Pakeman, California, Los Angeles. Beautiful community. Certain parts of it can be challenging both socio-economically and or with violence or gangs and drugs. With that, I saw my local fire department responding to numerous agencies or numerous areas within the city. So growing up as a kid, I saw that really inspired me, caught my attention. Later on, as I progressed in life, I had family members who, my uncle was diabetic, grandmother had Alzheimer's, so there were times where I had to call 911 myself for my family. So with that being said, seeing these members come in to my household and make a difference in my family and the kind of impact that they could have on someone was truly something that I aspired to be. In my community, there were mentors, productive members of society, and I held them in high regard. So from then on out, it was something that I wanted to achieve and slowly progress from there.
And now you're here.
And now we're here.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course.
So for me, I didn't grow up wanting to be a firefighter. I didn't have any family or friends in the fire service, so it wasn't really on the radar. Went throughout high school, went through the 4-year college route. After the first year of college, I really wasn't passionate about what I was doing, what I was there for. I was looking at something else. Luckily, my mom's coworker's husband was a firefighter. So she contacted him and made a station visit. It was the best thing I ever did was going to the station to visit because he showed me around the fire truck, showed me around the engine, told me about the job, told me about how to get hired because it's such a daunting task when you start to look it up on the steps of becoming a firefighter. And during that visit, the station got toned out for a full assignment for a structure fire. And seeing all the firefighters rush down to the fire truck, get in their full turnouts and speed away code 3, that burned the image in my mind that I want to do that. How do I do that? And he became a mentor in a sense to where he taught me on the steps of becoming a firefighter. I went straight to Glendale College, enrolled in their EMT class, and 2 years later, I got hired by Glendale.
Okay, but as soon as you got to the firehouse, action, right away.
Right away. And I wanted in. I wanted what they were doing.
That's good, that's good. And how about you?
So very similar to Captain Donnelly. My initial want was not in the fire service. A little bit about my background, I'm very mechanically inclined. I've always been interested in how things are made, how things are built, and why they do what they do. So through high school, I didn't really want to go to college. Schooling necessarily wasn't my thing. And so I went to a high school where it was 3 years of high school classes and 2 years of college courses. So I got my degree in architecture and design because I really gravitated again towards that mechanical background. And the more I kind of researched it, the more I was a little interested in it, I slowly found out that it wasn't necessarily for me. And the reason for that being was once I went through my schooling, I got in touch with my instructor and one of the local companies that was around, and they had me do a little mock internship, kind of saying, okay, if this is a career you want to do, this is kind of what it's going to be like. So they stuck me in the back corner of a building, they gave me a stack of plans, and they said, hey, look at each plan and tell me what's right or wrong with them. Immediately I was like, this is not for me. I can't be confined to 4 walls. I can't just be looking at paperwork, flipping them back and forth. So fast forward to a couple months later, I was at a family party, very similar to Donnelly. I ran into a family friend and he worked for a local agency down the street. And we were just chatting, you know, catching up. And he said, well, why don't you come down to the station and see what it's about? See if maybe you could try the fire service. Immediately I fell in love with it. The fast pace, the difference in every single call, not knowing what you're going to get, the next couple minutes. I just fell in love with it, and I hit the ground running. So that's what sparked interest for me for sure.
Shout out to mentors, to people sharing this profession, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Oh, goodness. All right, so let's talk about the fun stuff. Favorite part of the job?
I think for me, it would definitely be the camaraderie and the family aspect to things. You get to know each other well in the firehouse, and throughout my time at Glendale, I can honestly say I've worked with Captain Donnelly before. He knows my family well. I know his family well. Shane is the godfather to my first son. So within the organization, it's very family-oriented. We're a very tight group, and I truly enjoy that portion of the job.
That's beautiful. That is family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, the favorite thing has changed throughout the course of my career. I've been there 21 years. And I want to say in the beginning of the career, it was all about running the calls, going to fires, proving that all the training that I've been through, I can perform on 911 emergencies. After a few years, you want more responsibility. Lucky enough for me, I work for Glendale. They have various programs where we can evolve as a firefighter. I raise my hand whenever there's training. So we sent members to USAR training. I was able to attend that. After that, I went to paramedic school. After that, I became a hazmat specialist. Whenever there's training, I want to be included. So that was the middle of the career. Towards this part of my career, it's more about making the place better and passing down information to the next generation. I was fortunate enough to be a drill master for our fire academy. I did 3 academies full time, and seeing them come in day one, recruit to graduate in the academy is a rewarding process. I'm glad to pass that information down, because paying it forward from the mentors I had previously is try to bring up the firefighters that are coming up in Glendale.
All right, all right.
Yeah, I think kind of reiterating to my last answer is the unknown, right? The unknown of what your day is going to be like, the people you're going to have interaction with, and also the impact that you're going to have not only on fellow firefighters or fellow coworkers, but also the community. I think there are very few jobs in this world, or careers in this careers in this world, where you can make that impact in such a short period of time, right? Whether that's a medical call, whether that's a structure, whatever the case is, that quick interaction, that kind of, if you want to say, initial meet and greet, that's your opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. And you never know what that's going to be. So I think that's the one thing that I enjoy the most, is kind of, again, that cliche saying, if you want, being a jack of all trades, a master of none. You have to know a lot of things. You have to be good at a lot of things, and you don't know when you're going to implement those. And so I think that's something that is my favorite part about this career.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And so what's something each of you that you wish you knew before becoming a firefighter? So, man, had I had this additional information, I don't know.
I think it would be like knowing the skill sets that you would learn on the job, right? There's a variety of things. We respond to emergency calls, but we respond to all calls, right? All calls for need. So that could be anything from, a plumbing issue, gas meter issue. Those were things that I picked up on the job from learning from senior members that I didn't know would be coming within my capacity of being a firefighter. They definitely benefited me as I grew up and obtained my own home and, life just in general. So something I wish I would have known ahead of time, but I learned it on the job, and that was beneficial.
One thing for me is that I didn't know about the job before getting hired was that once you become a firefighter, you're a firefighter on duty and you're a firefighter off duty. Your family, your friends, your neighbors, they all know that you are the firefighter. And if there's any kind of problems that arise, you're the first one to be called. So through the course of our career, we end up, just like Andy was saying, we end up picking up parts of different trades. We end up having a little knowledge in becoming an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, a roofer, driver, chef, teacher, a little bit of everything. So whenever there's an issue that arises, our family or friends will call us, say, I got a problem, I need some help. And we're off duty, but we're always on duty.
In my community, we call someone like you or someone like you guys that dude.
Yes.
So, that dude.
I think that I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I want to say that it's more of being able to talk to people, right? Being approachable. I think that if I would have known, without that family friend coming up to me and sparking that conversation, I think that I would have been a little intimidated. Not for any negative reason, but I think any age, whether you're a younger person, an older person, male, female, whatever you are, it's very intimidating to come to a fire station, come to somewhere where it's new, you don't know what to expect, you don't know who the people there are, you don't know what they're capable of doing. Knowing that we are approachable, knowing that we are here for you, knowing that we are here to talk to you, knowing, especially for us in Glendale, we accept people coming to the fire station and just talking, saying, hey, I wanted to know about this. We have people all the time that come to our stations and say, my son or my daughter or my family member are interested in the fire service. Great, here's my name and number, here you go, let's connect. Having that mentor, having that role model, it's a lot easier than people think. You just have to be a self-advocate. You have to be able to say, I need to talk to somebody. And I think that is something that I wish I would have done sooner. And I'm glad that it kind of happened to me, naturally. So, yeah.
We love the job. We want to pass that on to someone else. Yeah. We want to show that how good of career this can be. Yeah.
It makes so much sense, that I can see how that'd be really intimidating, and then to be greeted with people that are so welcoming and it can be really inclusive too.
Yeah, sure.
Talk a bit about the family life balance, because the fire service, especially the three of you, it's very much a family. But then you go home and you have a family at home. So how does that balance? What does that look like for you?
The way that I always think about it is like when we're sworn in, we're sworn in. However, the family is also sworn at the same time, right? I have full commitment of my family. I couldn't do it without the help of my wife, without the support of my mom, my sister, because everyone's committed into my lifestyle, right? I wouldn't even call it a job. It's a career. It's a rewarding career, but everyone's committed to my lifestyle. And it benefits us all because, again, throughout life, we've developed additional family, and they know at times, if it's a project that I have to take on or there's a training that's upcoming, they know how beneficial it is for me to participate in. So there's definitely a balance, right? And there's definitely, you want to make sure there's obviously time to be dad, right? And be husband and son and brother. But I say that it's all about balancing time management and having commitment of the family.
It's all about balance and support. So I've been married for 15 years. I have 2 kids. Hi, family. It's all about the support, right? So when you become a spouse of a firefighter, you have to pick up a lot of slack, and I could not do it without my wife. We're gone for 2 days when we are on our regular schedule. Sometimes we get sent to big brush fires where we could be gone for up to 16 days. So it's all about the support and reaching out. We have a good support system around us with our family and friends, my parents and my wife's parents, and it's all about asking for help when we need it. The spouses in Glendale are also end up becoming close with one another, and they know each other from off-duty events and functions, and they do end up reaching out. There was one strike team I went, and I was gone for 16 days. My wife ended up reaching out to the other crew members' wives or significant others, and they met up for dinner to vent and to talk and to support each other. So it's all about the support and balance.
That feels so cozy. Even just hearing that feels like a hug, especially when you need it, Yeah. That's really powerful.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Echoing what they said is that it's not only us balancing our lives, right, but our spouses balancing their lives as well. And I think that what's unique about our department is we are very much a family department. Having the GFD wives, they have their own social media outlooks, so depending on where you work, where you live, you're always in contact. Where's my husband or where's my wife? How are things going? I think that's huge because I also think that we try to instill in our new members to make sure that you know what you're signing up for. Make sure your spouse knows what they're signing up for. So a lot of our new members, we host events to where it's a meet and greet. So everybody comes together, whether you've been on the job, this is day one, or you've been on the job for multiple years, and we kind of just mingle with each other saying, okay, maybe these are more of the seasoned wives or husbands, and these are the newer wives or husbands. and just kind of letting them know, you know, you might say you understand what being gone for 2 days is, or you might understand what a strike team is, or the ups and downs of the job, but maybe these are some experiences that I've gone through. This is what I've learned. This is what I have had to deal with, especially with kids, you know, because that can change your life dramatically. So I think that's huge. It's just our family is truly a family. So I think that's a great way to balance things, for sure.
So initially when you said that, I was thinking it was like a text thread, but this is like a formal group.
Yeah, we have text threads, and then we have like a formal like social media outlet, that type of thing, to where we want to make sure that everybody on the job has some type of connect. Yeah. So
shout out to Glendale. Shout out to you guys for putting that together, and shout out to each of your spouses and whoever is within your support network. Amazing, amazing. All right, let's talk about more amazingness at Glendale. What makes Glendale, the city, and the fire department unique?
The city itself, I feel, is a very diverse city, 30.1 square miles. Right, we have 4 major highways that run through our city. I mean, if you go to the northern part of the city, it's a very quieter kind of bedroom community, right? You have the foothills and the Verdugos up there with the wildland urban interface. As you move on down, you have like near Glendale Community College, beautiful one-story single-family homes, Spanish style. As you move further down near 26s, like where I'm stationed at right now, you have like the high-rises and the really busy downtown area. You know, so again, it offers a variety of things within the city itself, as far as geographically, right, and culturally as well. As far as the organization is, as you mentioned right now, you know, it's very family-oriented. We're big enough, but we're small enough where on any day, whatever apparatus you're working on, you know that member fairly well. You know about their family, you know whether they have kids. So I think that makes us very unique in that sense. And I'm sure every organization has that, but I do feel like we do have a good tight group of individuals. Aside from that, Class 1 organization, we have a variety of apparatus, everything from our USAR and hazmat, which I'm sure we'll touch on, 9 fire stations, 3 truck companies. So we have a lot to offer for the organization itself.
Yeah, we're a small department, but we operate as a large one because there are apparatus that we cross-staff at a lot of our stations. So our truck company at Fire Station 21 cross-staffs the Type 1 USAR. Our engine company at Station 24 cross-staffs a full hazmat team. We have an air and light unit out of Station 28. We have 2 Type 3 brush rigs, we have 2 water tenders, we have a Type 6 patrol. So there's a lot of cross-staffing going on because we fill out the role of a large department. There's a lot of opportunity for growth within the department on these specialty rigs.
Okay, and so lots of opportunities for specialties for folks that work there to go into.
Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. And so earlier in a previous conversation, someone mentioned that Glendale had hired a sports psychologist. So what does that person bring to the team?
Yeah, so one of the fire academies that I was part of, we had a sports psychologist come in at the beginning and at the end, and a lot of it had to do with the balance that you were talking about. That was a big takeaway from his speech that I got. It's when you leave work, it's leaving all that at work. So when you go home, you're ready to accept your family and responsibilities at home. It's one thing that we try to bring in with every academy in the last few years.
Okay, so that work-life balance, that mental health, all of that's good. That's good. So that must add on to my next question, and this will be my last question before we jump into some questions. I know it's bursting over with questions for you guys right now, but it's, you know, why is Glendale such a great place to start your career? So thinking of the new firefighter, the new recruit, why is this the best place for them?
I think because of some of the opportunities that we were talking about, right? We have so many different specialty apparatus, so many special opportunities to further your career, further your knowledge base, and just make you a better, well-rounded firefighter. Whether that's learning new techniques on the apparatus you're on, whether that's getting part of our Type 6 or Type 3, whatever the case may be, we support our members in so many different avenues. There's incentives for everything, and I think what that helps with is, if you want to go to school and learn some things, we help you incentivize with your educational bonus. If you're bilingual, we help you incentivize with that. If you are part of a certain team, like the hazmat or a USAR team, you are incentivized that way. And I can comfortably say that, you know, financially or compensation, that's not what drives people, but it definitely does help, you know, you showing your importance on getting compensated to the expertise level that you're at. And so I think that because we have such a big pool of things that you can do, I truly believe that from other agencies, it allows somebody to grow at a lot faster pace and really have that high standard that we carry. And another question was to start your career, you know, but hopefully that's where you end your career, because of the whole package that the Glendale Fire Department offers you. So yeah, I think that's what we're able to give people, you know.
One thing unique about Glendale is that we have full ALS paramedic resources on our engines and one of our trucks. So when you get hired as a firefighter paramedic, you're a firefighter and a paramedic. When you get done with academy and off probation, you don't go to an RA or an ambulance. You end up working and operating and functioning as a paramedic on an engine company or one of our truck companies. So that's very unique that a lot of candidates end up going to paramedic school, but they still want to be a firefighter. We focus on the firefighter aspect first and then the paramedics and after that.
And I think you had mentioned also that each person in the academy gets a mentor as well.
Yes. So before we start our academy, we assign senior firefighters to one of the recruits, and we encourage them to check in with those senior firefighters at a minimum of once a week, not just by text, but actually pick up the phone and call them and talk. That way you can express what you're going through, and the mentor can help you because they've been through that process. We have a rigorous 16-week academy. They've been through that whole process and can guide you if there's any problems that are arising at the time. Yeah.
So like totally understanding. You're not in this alone. We got you.
Big brother, big sister, for sure.
We definitely want to see our members be successful.
Yeah, that's so good. Let's jump over and let's hear some candidate questions. You guys ready to take some questions from the audience? All right, Mitch, do we have any questions?
We definitely do. It appears there are a lot of other folks that are interested in starting a career with the Glendale Fire Department. So a couple questions to start with. First off is, how do I stay involved as an out-of-state applicant?
Staying involved as an out-of-state applicant, I would say, is just being engaged on our social media platform. We have a variety of different platforms that you could subscribe to. The other thing would be updating on the website, our Join GFD website. So that would be the best advice that I would have for that individual.
Yeah, it's joingfd.com, and if you scroll to the bottom, there's a place where you can put your name and send a message, and we'll send you updates that way. And we're on all 5 media platforms. We have 2 Instagrams, Glendale Firefighters on our IG, and Glendale Fire CA. We also have a Twitter, that's Glendale Fire CA, and a TikTok, that's Join GFD, and a YouTube page, that's Glendale Fire Training Videos. So we'll try to push all that current information on all those platforms.
Okay, no excuse, huh?
No.
I'm kidding. Mitch, let's take a couple more questions.
Yeah, we've also got a couple questions about station visits. Does Glendale offer station visits, and what is the process or the etiquette for going about doing that?
Yeah, I think kind of like I said previously, you know, we welcome the community and people who are interested in the fire service to come by. We definitely allow people to come to the fire stations, just whether it's asking questions or for a ride along. The best way to do that, I would say, is contact that fire department directly. We do have an administrative department as well, but sometimes if it's a weekend and they're not there, if you just Google, you know, Glendale Fire Station, let's say 21 or 22, it'll have the address, it'll have the phone number, and that goes directly to that fire station. And just give us your name, what you're looking for, what you want to do, and we'll accommodate depending on who that captain is that day. But we welcome all of it. So.
I would say it's encouraged, especially before the hiring process, to actually visit the station. You say you want to work there for the 30-year career, it's almost a must to go visit, and we do encourage it. It's best to call the station direct and schedule a time with that captain and that crew.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Before we go to more questions, Just want to give a shout out to the high school fire science technology class watching in Murrieta. Thank you guys for joining us.
Very cool.
Here's another relevant question from Riley, which is, what was the Recruit Academy like, and what was the most difficult part of your probation year as a rookie?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that could definitely vary depending on the person.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start. So for the academy, I think the hardest part was figuring out your routine, right? So again, we always try to say, control what you can't control. So if you're applying for a job, if you're applying for anything, know what you're getting yourself into. Find that mentor, find that role model, find that connection that you can, and start living that lifestyle before you get the official offer. Don't wait. I think that getting into that, waking up, even though academy starts at 5:30, you're waking up at 3:30 or 4 to get there early, and having just that day-to-day routine, it'll carry along with you throughout the course of your career, really. So I think the routine part for sure, and it's a big mental game. I mean, it definitely is physical, but I mean mentally, as far as you're going to be pushed to limits to where you want to be uncomfortable. And like Andy said earlier, be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that for sure the academy is I think that was the hardest part for me. And then as far as probation was definitely difficult. I think though, and we'll probably get into this later, but being an AO prior, being an ambulance operator in the city of Glendale for the Glendale Fire Department, it helped me understand what probation was going to be like. So it was more of just conforming to, okay, well, who am I working with today? What are their likes and their dislikes? Making sure my skills are up to date and performing on a day-to-day basis. The little things of probation, it didn't really affect me too much because I was already kind of playing that role as an ambulance operator. So I think that was really the more difficult part for me. But again, everybody's different, so.
Yeah, so our academy is 16 weeks long, 5 days a week. We go from 5:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the evening. And we start off with PT, with our physical training, right when we get there. So as you're going through this hiring process, you want to make sure you're physically prepared for the position. And during that week-long morning PT, we'll dedicate one day to high-intensity workout, like a circuit workout. We'll do one run, and then we'll do one hike in our local hills because we have a lot of urban interface in Glendale. We have to do some hiking. And that starts off in shorts, week one, and then we add layers as we go along. We add the full brush gear, then we add packs, then we add packs and tools. So you're prepared once you get out of that academy, you're ready to respond to emergencies in your community. And a unique thing about our academy also is that we've been able to have a lot of our own instructors. So we're a small department, but we have over 30 state fire instructors. So we teach exactly what we want to teach our recruits. We're not utilizing outside agencies. It's what we want them to know. We'll teach them directly, and it's a grind. You have to be ready mentally and physically, definitely.
I think for me, both academy and probation was all time management and almost like a succession plan. Shane was a classmate that I relied heavily on, and whether it was in the academy on a topic, whether it was ventilation or building construction or whatever the case was, you only have so much time from the 4:30 to the next day to really grasp the concept of some of this information. So being able to have a layout of and again, the support system at home is huge because it's getting home, it's washing your clothes, prepping your lunch, taking a shower, and then sitting down, reading the information you need to be quizzed on the first thing next morning. Carrying that same mindset and that over to probation was the same thing, right? If you're on a truck company, really becoming a master at the skill set that you're assigned to, whether it's ventilation operations or laddering or whatever the case is being able to allot the time off when you're off duty, all the notes you took while you were at work, and now address the lecture and the didactic portion on your 4-day, if you will, and then once you come back to put what you learned to the test. So personally speaking, for me, it was like a succession planning. How am I going to be successful, whether it's the academy or probation, and it's having kind of a time management thing.
I've heard before, time management is life management.
Yes,
Yeah, it is.
So good.
Very true.
So AO, ambulance operator.
Correct.
And so I believe in your intro you mentioned you started out as one. Can you guys talk about the program? What does the program consist of?
Yeah, so our ambulance operator program came about 2010. Initially, it was two BLS ambulances within the city. They responded solely and only to BLS calls. However, in 2012, we made a transition to paramedic engines. At that time, all 9 fire engines within the city of Glendale became staffed by a minimum of 2 paramedics. Today, if you look at any fire engine, you'll probably see there's 4 paramedics on it at any given time. What happened then is we then transitioned to having our BLS ambulance be the transport component for all of our calls. The program itself offers a variety of really beneficial things. Sponsorship to Fire Academy, so we can get you a seat into a Fire Academy. Sponsorship to paramedic school if you're aspiring to be a paramedic. It gives you the in-house feeling of what it's like to be in a fire station if you've never done an Explorer program or a cadet or an auxiliary firefighter position. It gives you the in-house deal as to what it is, because we incorporate our ambulance operator in our day-to-day functions. Everything from lineup to cooking together, to going out and drilling, to running calls together. Our ambulance responds to every call in our city as well as neighboring agencies, right? And all within Area C. So they gain some great experience being on our ambulances, both on the fire side and on the EMS side. There are numerous probationary members on the floor right now. So they're seeing firsthand right now the expectation and the standard that's held as a probationary member, not only just in the fire service, but specifically for Glendale Fire. And then again, with all that being said, is being an ambulance operator for Glendale, you're going to be transporting all of the patients to the hospital. So if you're an EMT and you're aspiring to gain some experience as an EMT, when we transfer over that BLS patient to you, you're going to practice your EMT skills. If it's a critical call, like a trauma or a cardiac arrest or something of that nature, you're going to be transporting with 2 paramedics to the hospital, and you're going to gain that experience, and you're going to be able to assist that paramedic within your scope, which is going to give you an awesome foundation for the rest of your career.
And I think it's important to note, were you going to say so? Did I?
No, go ahead. You're good.
Oh,
You're okay.
this is your show.
Yeah, you're okay.
With that, I think it's important to note that to do the ambulance operator program, you can be an EMT to do that, to get into that.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for, is an EMT certification. We do have members who are ambulance operators who are paramedics. They don't function as paramedics as ambulance operators, but they do have a license as paramedics.
Okay.
And what's unique is if they are paramedics, they can take our tests.
Yes.
We have an open test like we're doing this coming fall, and we also have a promotional exam for our ambulance operators to become firefighters. They have to meet the same requirements, but it's a smaller pool that we can pull from, and we can hire up to half of our academy can be our ambulance operators.
That was super beneficial for myself and Andy. So when, a few years back when we were hiring, it was roughly about, 3 days?
Yeah.
3 days of testing. It was roughly about 4,500 people.
5 days.
Yeah, 5 days.
5 days of interviews.
I was there. And so we're testing with 4,500 other people, right? But we also took the internal promotional test. So we were on a list of 4,500, and then we were also on a list of maybe 20, if that. So you were able to be chosen from one or the other, depending on where you rank. So it was really beneficial for us to already kind of have that foot in the door.
Yeah.
So I think that was huge.
Yeah.
And I know you guys have a really unique, very cool story regarding you getting into the fire service. Who would like to share what that story consists of?
So Captain Donnelly was on my interview panel when I was going through the process. And it's just cool because throughout my career in general, I've come to him for a lot of information. Again, that mentorship, right? People you emulate, you want to role model yourself after. And so I wasn't sure how the interview was going to go because I had been testing for about 9 years. And I kept getting this, you passed your interview, but thank you, but no thank you kind of thing. So you scored high enough, but you weren't quite there. And so I kept reflecting and saying, okay, well, I'm doing everything the books are saying. Is it a me problem? What's going on? But I realized that through my interview process, I wasn't tailoring the interviews to who I truly was. And I was really worried about, well, what does the fire department want to hear? What does that person on the other panel, on the other side of that panel want to hear? And so I finally just said, you know, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do what Shane would do. So sitting on the other side of the table of Captain Donnelly, question came. I said, you know what? Hey, this is who you get. You're going to be stuck with me for 30 years. I hope you want to be stuck with me for 30 years. And it worked out. It was my last interview, obviously, because I got picked up through Glendale. But you need to be yourself. You need to be who you are, and you will find the department that works for you. And I think that's what's unique about the Glendale Fire Department is our testing process, and we could talk about it a little bit later, but it's 100% weighed on your interview. And so that interview is key to really show who you are. So I'm glad he passed me, for sure. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, it was an open test. We have various panels, but it's 5 days, 8 to 10 candidates per day. You really have to stand out in the oral interview, especially for us because it is 100% of your score and how you rank out on our hiring list. And we knew Shane as an ambulance operator, but you have to perform. I don't like calling it oral interview. It's an oral examination. You have to treat it as a test. You have to practice it. You have to do mock orals. You have to be ready for it. You have to prepare for that interview. You can't go in and not be prepared because you're being examined from the start to the finish, from when you walk in with a handshake to when you walk out. You're being evaluated for the job. Is this person ready for the job? And we're glad Shane performed that day and scored well. And how many years later? 9 years later, it worked out.
Incredible, incredible. So, so interviews, and I know that makes up a large part of the hiring process. So before we go into the rest of the hiring process, we do want to take some questions from the audience, but is there anything else you wanted to add to the interview or anything like that?
Yeah, I want to say the big thing is doing the mock orals, is having either your mentors or a panel across from you and treating it like it's a real thing. Dressing up in your suit, typing out your resume, acting like it's the real deal, and recording yourself is a big thing. We even do that in-house when our members want to promote to captain. I've had a few of my crew members try to get ready for the exam. Okay, I'm going to record you, and you're going to do an interview in front of your crew. Could be the most awkward thing, but if you can do it in front of us, you'll do it in front of the strangers across the table when you're ready. So the big thing is doing those mock interviews over and over again so you're ready for the test.
And becoming aware of like those nervous tics
Oh,
and things that you don't even know you do, right?
Yes, 100%.
Man, all right. So back to you, Mitch. Do we have any questions from the candidates watching?
All right, yes, we have a ton of questions about the ambulance operator program. There's a lot of interest in the chat. So for starters, what is the first steps? What's the process, or who should candidates contact if they're interested in becoming an ambulance operator?
The biggest thing would be meeting our minimum qualifications. We have, if they're interested, we can go to joingfd.com. You would fill out an application, your EMT license. With EMT, you have to pass your national registry and then obtain your state certification or local LA County accreditation. And then once that's all hit, California driver's license, your application, you would submit it. There's a little bit of a period sometimes for waiting to get interviewed, depending on how many applicants we have. So from there on out, you would apply, you would have an interview, a background process. It's very similar, and again, that's why I think the position is beneficial for a lot of members, because the application process for an AO is very similar to the background process or application process for a firefighter. So you would go to the interview, backgrounds, and then after that you would obtain your position as an ambulance operator. We do have, I believe it's a 1-week academy, AO academy, and in that academy you'll be taught specifically some things about our apparatus as far as the ambulances themselves, some of the equipment that we carry, and then just some of the way that we run our operations within Glendale. So, yeah.
And you are put on the same schedule as we are too. So it's not, we don't change things around just because you're not a sworn firefighter. So you are going to be assigned to a shift schedule, which for us it's 48-96, which is 2 days on, 4 days off, and you're there for those 48 hours depending on what you're assigned to. So again, you really do live and breathe what we as sworn firefighters do. So I think it's a great program to get your foot in the door. For sure.
Yeah, I will say one thing about our program, it's such a great stepping stone that a lot of the AOs do end up getting hired by other agencies. So there's constant turnover in the AO ranks. If you apply and you don't get in, apply again. It will always be hiring throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
To apply to Glendale to become an AO.
Yes, please.
Do it today. All right. Let's take a few more questions.
All right. Still related to the AO program, specifically Firefighter Paramedic Galvan, we have a candidate asking, how long did it take for you to promote from an ambulance operator to a sworn firefighter position? And then in addition, we have the question about, is there a limit to how long someone can be an ambulance operator?
Yes. So the first portion of that question, when I got hired with Glendale, there was no talk of there being an academy or us being potentially hired on as future firefighters. So I went to Glendale not knowing anything about Glendale, not having any ties whatsoever, and felt very welcomed amongst the members there. I worked there as an ambulance operator for 3 years. During that course of 3 years, I was applying to numerous departments, just like my counterparts. Not getting as close as I would like, and then ultimately probably towards closer to my 3rd year is when they said that they would be hiring firefighters. At the time, I met all the qualifications. You get assigned a Task Book 1, Task Book 2, which is a basic understanding and demonstration of all the skills and ability that are tied to you as an EMT, as an ambulance operator for Glendale, and then I was eligible to apply for the promotional portion to a firefighter recruit. In regards to the time frame, you can work as an ambulance operator for 3 years. At the 3-year mark, if depending on where you are in regards to hiring, the fire chief does have an authority to extend that to a 4th year.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Mitch, let's take a couple, maybe 2 more questions.
Okay. We have a cadet asking, how many calls does the Glendale Fire Department respond to in a typical day?
Depends on what station you're at, right? But I would say 25. Engine 25 is probably our busiest engine. I think on average, we were just talking about this, average is about 10 to 11 calls a day. I would say our slowest station would probably be, what? 3?
Yeah.
3 maybe in average. So we definitely are busy. I think we're on track right now for what, 23,000, 22,000 calls for the year as a whole for a department. So we definitely are busy. If it's not running calls, then it's training. If it's not training, then it's running calls. So yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
All right, let's take one last question.
All right. I know that you guys spoke about work-life balance before. We have a few questions about that. But specifically, how does the Glendale Fire Department deal with the mental health aspects of the job?
So one of the things that the department offers is we have what's called our wellness program. So with the wellness program and mental health being one of the big topics on it, is they offer a variety of things from our peer support group, which I'll let Captain Donnelly talk a little bit about. We talked about the counselor that we hired on through the department. We also have various programs that part of the wellness program where they come and they teach us like breathing exercises and implement different types of yoga and things of that nature to be able to help de-stress on certain things in our life. And then there's obviously the physical aspect, exercising and doing things as a crew also helps with de-stressing. So in regards to our peer support group, it's staffed by our members within the organization. So if there's something that's going on in your life, it doesn't necessarily have to be a particular call. It can be, right? But it could accumulate to a point where you're in a place in your career where you just feel like there's a lot going on. And if I felt the need to talk to someone, I can go to our peer support group and talk to that individual. If I wanted to seek out additional help or go past that for some sort of help or therapy, we have the resources to be able to point that individual that direction.
Yeah, one thing I love about our peer support team, it's our members from Glendale that have been trained on how to handle the peer support aspect of our job and the mental wellness of our job. And when they started this program, one thing that was I thought was good was they reached out to all the members and said, name one person that you're comfortable talking to, so we know who your closest friend, your best friend in the department is. That we may be able to tie in that person to whatever issues is going on. So we're comfortable speaking to that peer support member.
That's good, because then you're more likely to go. Yeah, you know, it's falling on trusted ears. That's good.
I think it's a good shift that we had for sure, because before it was you didn't talk about anything. It was very quiet, just, hey, this is what you signed up for. And now it's very much, I think we do great at all ranks, but our captains specifically are very good with, if there was a call that came up, or if you could tell that your just counterparts are acting differently, it's a quick just, hey, are you okay? You don't have to tell me about it, but do you need to talk to somebody? And it's a simple yes or no, and we don't get into the nitty gritty of, okay, well, tell me what's happening or anything. It's a great thing that we're transitioning to be open more to communication and talk about anything.
So with that, I would like to get into the requirements for Glendale. So we've kind of danced around what those things are. Can you talk about what does it take to get hired? What exactly are you guys looking for, the minimum requirements to apply?
18 years of age, high school diploma, GED, to be eligible on the statewide eligibility test, California paramedic license would be your minimum requirements.
Okay.
Yeah, so we pull directly from the FCTC written test and the CPAT. They're not as long as you pass those two and you're on the list and the paramedic, that's the applicants that we're pulling from.
Okay, and so, and this is just to clarify for the folks watching, you can't be an EMT and have taken the paramedic test and apply. You actually have to have your paramedic license in hand.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's good to know. Very, very good to know,
Yes.
right? All right. And so what does the application process look like? What does that consist of? How long is it? When do you, I'll leave it there.
Similar to, again, as I mentioned, as our AO, you would have the job bulletin, you meet all the qualifications, you can apply then at that point. At that point, then there would be a testing put on through the FCTC. From there on out, if you pass and you're successful with that, you would go to your interview. You'd be interviewed. So upon passing that, then you would be going on to your background process. Once you complete your background process, you should be met by a fire chief's interview, and at that point, the fire chief would give you the green light to start your fire academy.
Okay, all right. And so for those of you watching at home, the statewide eligibility list is coming up, FCTC, all of that. What that is the Firefighter Candidate Testing Center. And so we at Cal-JAC work very closely with FCTC, the Firefighter Candidate Testing Center, to get on the statewide eligibility list. And we can put some of this information in the chat for you. You do have to pass a CPAT, which is pass-fail. You do have to pass your written test to get on with Glendale. But to also be on the statewide eligibility list, you have to be 18 or older to sit for the exam. You have to have graduated from high school or have your GED, and then you have to have a valid driver's license. It doesn't have to be from California. So for you in the chat earlier that wanted to know if you're from out of state, what does that take? You just need a valid driver's license. So all 5 of those things would add you to the statewide eligibility list.
And we have those steps as well on our website, joingft.com. It literally has every position, ambulance operator, firefighter, paramedic, or whatever we're hiring at that time. And you just click on the link and it'll give you step 1 through the last step, what you need, what we're requiring, and a rough timeline of what that is. So for some reason, if you're unsure, just go to our website.
Sometimes when you talk about becoming a firefighter, the steps can seem so cumbersome. And I know at Cal-JAC, we've put together a roadmap to guide folks through that process. Yeah. But it sounds like from everything you're saying, you just keep it, very streamlined for everyone.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. And so when's your next hiring period? So when can folks expect next to see this application online and go through the process?
We hope to open up our job bulletin later this year, fall or winter, and have the academy next year. One thing great about the fire department is that we've been able to have a fire academy class every year. So we're not short staffed, and we keep our classes small, and we don't have a lot of force hires in Glendale, which is really nice right now. We have 153 members, 132 are paramedics also. So that's something that's pretty unique for us, yeah.
Any tips you'd like to leave applicants with, or potential applicants as they get ready for this fall?
Control what you can control, right? One of the biggest things that we see is the physical fitness aspect of things. The academy can be tough, right? But all the resources will be provided to you, right? All the literature will be provided to you. All the skill sets will be provided to you. All the expectations will be clear, right? So those are things that you will learn from the organization itself. But one of the things that you can control right now is being physically fit. So getting out there, not waiting until you see the job bulletin open, not waiting until you get your interview, not waiting until you get your academy date is the time frame to be like, maybe I should start running or hiking or, or doing something, right? So that's one of the things we always advocate to our potential candidates is control what you can control, and physical fitness is being one of them.
So I do want to talk about, I'd like to talk about becoming a paramedic and that process. I do, in a previous conversation that we had, sounds like you were balancing a lot while in paramedic school.
Yeah.
If you could look over there and just let folks know how you managed that whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was very fortunate when I got hired on. I worked as a single function firefighter for a few years, and then my organization decided to send me to paramedic school. I went to paramedic school on a part-time basis, so I was working as a firefighter, and I would be going to school 1 day a week at OCEMT. So whenever I would finish class, then I would return back to work and work as a firefighter. There was a lot of learning lessons with that, time management. So I was working, going to school, learning a new skill set, and also going home and being dad. So one of the biggest things that I learned from that, again, as I've been preaching, is just all time management and being able to balance out your life. My organization was awesome. They were able to provide me with whatever resources I needed, whether that was further paramedic mentors or the EMS division, being able to sit down with me and explain pharmacology or just the skill sets that were difficult for me. And that in conjunction with my peers that I went to school with, we were all successful. So very grateful for that opportunity.
And you said you were all successful.
Yes, we were.
Wow, good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That's motivation.
Thank you.
Oh, man. So we do want to jump back into the chat. And are you guys ready to take some more questions? All right, let's do it.
All right. Related to hiring and your requirements, we have a candidate asking, how many applications does Glendale typically receive in a given year?
We've done the FCTC list for a few years now. About 150 is what we've been getting to turn in applications once we open the job bulletin. And we have a class every year. The class has been between 10 and 15 in the Recruit Academy.
Trying to get an idea of the competition.
Yeah.
That was a good question. Mitch, let's take a couple more.
All right, I'm going to try to paraphrase or combine a few different questions in the chat here, but there are a lot of questions about kind of resume builders or education or experience that candidates should pursue in preparation for applying for, an entry-level firefighter, paramedic job. Any advice that you guys have on that front?
For me, I think I said earlier, but set short-term goals and set long-term goals. So once that short-term goal is complete, you're ready to add to your resume after that. So for me, it was going to EMT. That's the first step. Getting a fire academy from a local community college is a huge advantage. It opens more doors because there are some departments that require it. And getting that experience is probably the next step. Getting that 911 experience so you can go to paramedic school is a huge thing to open up all the doors, because that's what everyone is looking for now.
I think having a variety too of candidates, right? If you have a background in brush, right, we're also seeking out those candidates. But even if it's nothing fire related, right? Like I remember when I went to my firefighter interview, I had worked as an ambulance operator before that, but I also worked as an auxiliary for Warner Brothers Studios. I had worked as a volunteer for Sierra Madre Fire Department, but I also didn't stray away from when I worked at a video store and I was a manager, because a lot of that teaches like responsibility and supervisory, and it just demonstrated to the people that were questioning me like my level of responsibility and being able to work with others. So if you don't have any of those traits, right, like any fire experience or anything like that, utilize what you have with your life experience, right? It's all adaptable, right? The fire service is very diverse. We have members, as Cap mentioned earlier, from a variety of different backgrounds, and everyone has a little bit different life experience that can contribute to one specific call. So
I think it all depends too on how you communicate that, right? Because again, let's say if you're very young or you're very old and you've been, I don't want to say stuck because stuck's a bad word for it, but if you're stuck in this specific, career, it all depends on how you can portray that in your interview. I remember there was an interview actually that I was kind of taken back on so I'm looking at his resume and it says, in and out fast food, and it says level 5 cook. Like, okay, cool, level 5 cook. And I think generally people would be like, oh, you flip burgers in and out. That's great. But the way he communicated that was stated, I'm a level 5 food preparation, person at In and Out. It's a well-established fast food company. I started as a level 1, which meant this, and I worked my way through to level 5, and it showed me how to do my time management, my responsibility, cleaning, communication with people that were coming in. And it just made something that is very, if you want to call it basic, but just showed his progression through that company and how he matured as a person. I mean, you could relate that to anything, and that was definitely where it showed me the importance of communicating and just maturity in general, no matter what age you are. Yeah. So I think that's huge.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially to provide so much more insight on what the average person would just, or might consider as just really basic, but really showing the elevation and progression of that.
Yeah.
Key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mitch, let's take one more question. And then we'll jump into hiring and starting on the job, what that looks like.
All right. You guys touched on this a little bit already, but Ryan on YouTube is asking, what are the most essential skills that a department looks for in a new recruit? And related to that, Cadet Bailey from the Verdugo Fire Academy wants to know, what are some things candidates can do to make themselves stand out in the process?
Stand out in the process, I would say things like we mentioned earlier, going to the fire station, right, showing your face, actually being engaged in the current events with the organization. For example, we just mentioned that we just established a paramedic truck, right? That's kind of new for our organization, right? That's something that you wouldn't really know if you just kind of skimmed over on the website. Knowing what's going on in the city. Our city is rapidly growing at a fast pace. Mid-rises are being built at an astronomical time frame. So our city is growing at a really quick rate. So really knowing and being engaged as to what's going on in the city, as well as what's going on in our organization, in our department, with the hiring that's coming up soon, are all things that I think would help you stand out. Also being yourself too, like we want people to really show, when I went in there and I talked about the video store, when he talked to the young man that worked at In and Out, like do things that pertain specifically to you, because when you walk out of that interview, we're going to remember that was slightly different and unique to that person, right? So I would say that would be one thing that would help them stand out.
Yeah, I like to piggyback on that. During the oral interview or examination, it's always good to add a personal touch to every question. We'll ask you various questions throughout this half-an-hour exam, and you can define customer service or talk about the community, but give a personal touch to each question. Yeah. That way we have something to fall back on. We know who you are, what you're like, if you'll fit in the fire service, if you're ready for the job. Just having that personal touch, and it doesn't have to be only fire-based or EMS. It definitely, life experience, you can bring a lot to the table from previous jobs, from your family. We want to know it all, and you have that half an hour to use during that exam to explain each question. The personal touch definitely separates the top candidates from the ones that passed but didn't make it to the top.
I think in response to the first question about like what we look for also is being adaptive and understanding that you're going to have, and being open to criticism. Out of our 9 stations that we have 9 different ways that people do things. We have different captains and engineers and firefighters who like to do things differently, and as long as a common goal of getting something done is safe and effective, then that's okay. But from being a new employee and hearing, well, Engineer Baker likes it this way, but Firefighter Paramedic Galvan likes it this way, and Captain Donnelly likes it this way, to not get frustrated and understand that we're just trying to help you along the way and show you different ways to do things, I think that'll help you be successful in your career. It's not like you're constantly getting knocked down and saying you're doing something wrong. It's just we're showing you different ways to do it. So being adaptive and being open to criticism for sure, because you'll get a lot of that in the academy and on probation. So, yeah.
It sounds like life advice for a relationship, too.
Oh, yeah.
I was listening like, that's good.
Right?
I mean, right?
That is 100% is.
Oh, man. So we are coming down to our last few questions. So before I get to those last few, I personally just want to thank Cadet Bailey from Verdugo. I also want to thank the YouTuber because you guys asked 2 questions that I have almost verbatim in my notes. So thank you for being so in tune with Glendale and just wanting to hear everything. But this next question is something we get all the time. And so it's a combination of questions that we get all the time. And it's really, what would you say to the cadet or to the candidate that feels like they're a little bit older, they're not at a certain age anymore, they feel like they've aged out of being able to apply to become a firefighter, they have kids, maybe they're already in a career, they're looking to transition, but they're interested in Glendale Fire Department. What would you say to that person or those people?
As a captain, I welcome that diversity on my crew. There's 4 of us on a fire engine or fire truck. We all have different life experience, different training, different previous experience before the fire department. I want a variety of young, old, kids, no kids. Just that different life experience brings so much to the table because we work as a team to solve the problems. And someone might have experience in one area that we don't have. And if I don't know the answer, I'm looking to my left and right. You guys know what to do here? Because I don't have all the answers. Even though I've been on 21 years, every day is just a little different. Every call can be a little different. And it's using the previous experience from your whole crew that really helps out on a day-to-day basis.
I think no matter your age, if something comes to your mind and you want to do it, right? And you're thinking, should I try this out? I don't know if I should. You're not going to know unless you try. So I always try to tell people, keep going until you can't go anymore. And then when you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, stop, take a little mental break, look in the mirror, say, why am I really doing this? And then keep pushing again. Because I think even in my short 9 years, I haven't worked a day in my life. I love my job, I love my career, I love my family, I love my work family. And it's something that you shouldn't shy away from. So age doesn't matter, sex doesn't matter. It's what you want to do inside, and I think that'll fill that void for you. So, and to piggyback, I kind of was laughing when Bailey from Verdugo Fire Academy was asking questions. So I teach at Verdugo Fire Academy, which is a great fire academy, by the way. So you should definitely, if you're looking for a fire academy, go to Verdugo Fire Academy. But what's cool about that, and why I say that, and I'm passionate about it, is because we get 18-year-old kids or young adults. And we have older gentlemen and females, and they're always saying, I don't know if I should do this, I don't know if I should do this. I'm like, well, you're not going to know unless you try. Keep going, keep pushing, and keep pushing. And it's cool to see younger and older people get that job and finally be happy. And a lot of it is, I'm doing this for my kids, I'm doing this for my wife, I'm doing this for my husband. So then do it. Just keep going. So, for sure.
And each of you have such great energy and just such humble leadership. Even the last thing that you said about, I've been on the job 21 years, and when there's something I don't know, I'm looking to my left and my right, really, really just enjoying the responses here and the energy. So one of my last questions, and there will be one more after this, is, okay, so someone gets hired, what should they expect within that first year to year and a half, that first 12 to 18 months? What should they expect?
As far as like going through the academy and then getting hired on probation, there's going to be a lot thrown at you, right? Obtaining the job it's hard. There's a lot of hard work put into it, but it's for a reason, right? And it's all well worth it. What you should expect, again, we talked about the 16-week academy. You'll be tested mentally, physically, and even emotionally, right? That's where the commitment on your family's part ties in with your commitment as well. In regards to probation, it's a variety of things, learning about different concepts and theories, from building construction to EMS to apparatus to ladder placement, and how what's water. But my biggest advice to that would just be stay committed, with little bites at a time, right? When I was going through paramedic school, looking at this enormous challenge seemed like something I wouldn't be able to conquer. Mentors, peers all told me, hey, little bites at a time. So that's one piece of advice that I would do, is just take one little thing at a time, one day at a time, one class at a time, and ultimately, through the course of it, you'll be successful.
Yeah, during our probationary period, we have quarterly tests. So you go down to the training center, and throughout the course of the year, there's 4 tests to make sure they're on pace to successfully complete probation. And you're also tested as a paramedic, because we are the paramedic provider for Glendale. There's 2 tests just to make sure you're on pace, and once you're done with probation, you're ready to go without so much supervision.
Mm-hmm. All right, that brings me to the last question. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Can I get a drum roll?
Let's do it.
I'm kidding, but thank you. I would like you to leave the organization. We would like you guys to leave the audience with any words of wisdom. You have any words of wisdom for the folks watching and for the people that'll see soon once it's posted?
As I mentioned earlier, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay, it's a difficult task. At times, it can be seem like a mountain to climb, but it's well worth it. And like Shane mentioned, I've never worked a day in my life. I love my job. It's the best job in the world. It's created generational change for my family, role model to my kids, role model to my family, and be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's not a bad thing. It's going to be something that you'll take with you from the first day of your job to the end of your career when you promote to BC or the FC. Like every position that you fill, you're going to be tested, and you're going to be learning new skill sets, and it's just something that comes along with the job. So.
All right, thank you.
I would say that if you're watching this, you obviously have an interest in the fire service, so don't stop. Continue to move forward. Continue to push yourself. I think I've said over and over and over. Continue to push, continue to push, continue to push. And if you need help, ask for it. If you don't know where to go, talk to somebody. If you're not near the city of Glendale, then either Google and call us. If you're out of state, call us. If you're near a fire station, go to that fire station and talk to somebody. Get that mentor, get that person that you can connect with so they can help you along your journey, because it's worth every second. It's worth every minute of, I don't know if I should do this anymore. It's getting tough. That's going to be your career. It's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging. Just keep pushing forward and keep doing it, and you'll love every single day of it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, so my words of wisdom would be all in attitude, all out effort. If you're thinking about this job of becoming a firefighter, now's the time to go for it. There's no better time than now. So many agencies are testing throughout the whole state, and the applicant pool is getting smaller and smaller. Now's the time to make that move and go for it. If you've been testing for a long time, just keep at it. Personally, I took 50 tests. 3 years, I went to every job opening, every interview I can go to. That's where I went, and luckily I got picked up in Glendale. But just keep at it, don't stop. It was worth every bit of effort to make those tests. It's been worth it. 21 years. Go for it now.
Mm-hmm. All the vulnerability here in this space. Jeez. All right, you're hold on. What's it called? The sports psychologist would be very proud of you guys right now. This is good stuff. So, so I know that I may have said this before, but this is where you want to be. You want to be at Glendale Fire Department for sure. So where can they find you on social media? If you could say those things one more time.
Okay, so we keep information up to date on our social media platforms. Glendale Fire CA on Instagram, Glendale Firefighters on Instagram. On TikTok, it's Join GFD. On YouTube, it is Glendale Fire Training Videos. And on Twitter, it's Glendale Fire CA as well. So keep up to date.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, I just want to thank, on behalf of all the organizations here, Firestar Studios, who's filming this whole thing and does a wonderful job with all of this, Cal-JAC, the organization I get to work for, FCTC, the organization you guys use for testing. Just a huge thank you to you guys for being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you.
So to close out, there's a couple things I would like to leave you guys with. and those are Cal-JAC. We do offer a paramedic program. You do have to be a paramedic to get hired with Glendale. We're not encouraging you or telling you that you have to relocate, but the next one will be up here in Sacramento, where we're headquartered. So take a look. We also offer free EMT programs. You can find out more information about both at caljacacademy.org, so make sure that you visit the website. We will be launching the next paramedic program soon, but the best place to find out the information is right on the website, caljacacademy.org. The other thing is you can engage with hopefully Glendale at our next career expo. You guys came to the last one. Yes. So we'll be doing career expos again later on this year in the fall. So October 21st we'll be in Sacramento. November 4th we'll be in Carlsbad. And I'm mentioning this so early, so you can just save the date. Just put it on your calendar. And with that, we just want to thank you so much for coming back for another episode of RITS. We look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. And apply to Glendale! Apply to Glendale! All right, peace out, everybody.